but I'm Mike Wilbon. I was in Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena, for a huge win by your Knickerbockers last night, Tony. Don't you wish you were there?
Tony Kornheiser, let's be real. I would have left after the third quarter, just like I did at home with the TV. At the end of the third quarter, I said, okay, the game's over. Yeah, I would have missed it.
You wouldn't have been alone, Tone. There were people who left the Garden last night or late in the third to go to work today and get some sleep.
I can imagine. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Jason Kidd is out. The Big Ten is a fan of a 2014 playoff, and Kendrick Perkins joins us for 5 good minutes. But we begin today with the Cleveland Cavaliers blowing a 22-point lead about halfway through the fourth quarter and losing to the Knicks in Madison Square Garden last night in overtime, 115-104. Wilbon, you were there. You watched it. The Knicks outscored Cleveland 44-11 from the time that the lead reached 22. Did the Knicks win this game, or did the Cavaliers lose it?
Tony, yeah, ultimately the Knicks won it, and Jalen Brunson was great, but the Cavaliers choked like few teams have ever choked in the playoffs. And Kenny Atkinson, their coach, was the captain of that choke. Because at the middle, at the crux of that, was an 18-1 run, which took minutes. And with 4 timeouts available at the beginning of that run, 4 timeouts, 2 of them are going to disappear at the 3-minute mark if you don't use them. Kenny Atkinson sat on his hands and did not call time. Basket after basket after basket, to the point that the Knicks players are like wondering, literally, I'm serious now. They're wondering, okay, he's going to call time. We're not going to get back. Oh, wait. Okay, he's going to call time now. Oh, wait. And this went on and on and on. He's got a tired team that came out of a game 7, so he doesn't help them with their fatigue by not calling timeout. He doesn't get James Harden away from a guy who's torching him, okay, in Jalen Brunson, and he doesn't help Donovan Mitchell get the ball because he's stationary, walking up the right side of the court and standing in the corner. So there are 4 reasons you have to call timeout. He didn't think any of them were valid, and then said afterward, well, I'd like to hold on to my timeouts. Unbelievable. Yeah. The coaches always say, I want to put my players in position. He put his players in position to fail miserably, and he's been a good coach, but not last night.
Yeah, you know me a long time. You know that I don't have much respect for game ones. The least respect in a 7-game series for game 1, because I think that is a result that can be reversed. I think you have a lot of time. I'm not sure there's a lot of time left in this series. I'm really not. You cannot lose this game if you're Cleveland. You cannot blow a 22-point lead almost midway into the fourth quarter. In the history of the playoffs in the NBA in the last 30 years, any team that has trailed by as much as 22 points at any point in the fourth quarter, not halfway through, at any point, the record is 1-594. Let me repeat that, 1-594. Mike, Cleveland has to win a game at the Garden if they're going to win the series. They have to do that. This was it. They were handed a golden ticket, and they failed to cash it. A lot of people are going to talk about the comeback from the Knicks. It was a great comeback. I'll just take about 10 more seconds. It was a great comeback. They'll talk about Brunson torching James Harden. That's all true. All the shots they made, it's all true. And they now won 8 in a row, okay? Knicks did not win that game last night. Cleveland lost that game last night. And under what you were talking about with the calling of timeouts, I had Tim Legler on my podcast this morning, and Tim Legler said this. You go home after a game. You take the change out of your pocket. You take the bills out of your pocket. You better not have 2 timeouts in your pocket. You better not have that. So.
Legler called the game. He knew it last night. I talked to him. We were in disbelief, standing on the Garden floor, Tony, surrounded by the great Knicks of all time, your friend Walt Clyde Frazier, Patrick Ewing, all these guys. They're all there, Grandma Larry Johnson. And no one can believe what they saw. The Knicks were great. Yep. But Cleveland let them in. Cleveland opened the door and said, why don't you come in? Come in, take a game, have a game. Mm-hmm. Let's turn now to Jason Kidd being out as head coach of the Dallas Mavericks. The team is calling Kidd's departure, quote, a mutual decision. Also out are interim GM Matt Riccardi and several other front office members as Dallas's new team president, Masai Ujiri, settles into place. Kidd led the Mavericks to the NBA Finals in 2024, just 2 years ago, and presided over the Mavs rebuild with Cooper Flack this season after fired GM Nico Harrison's jaw-dropping decision to trade Luka Doncic. Tone, Does this move make sense to you for both sides?
I have no idea, Mike, if it makes sense. You got to wait on that. You got to wait 2 to 3 years when this rebuild is finished. You just don't know that now. What I am absolutely sure of is that this was not necessary. It was not necessary to fire Jason Kidd. It was not necessary to hire Masai Ujiri. It all comes from the dumbest trade of all time, as you referred to, when Nico Harrison trades away Luka Doncic less than a year after Luka Doncic had led them to the NBA Finals, coached by Jason Kidd. Now, here's how dumb that trade is. Because when you get done with everything that's happened since trading him for Anthony Davis, who barely played at all in Dallas, now that trade, Anthony Davis is on the tanking Wizards. Now that trade is Luka Doncic, a perennial all-star, for Marvin Bagley, I believe, a couple other players who you don't even know, and draft choices down the road. That's why Nico Harrison got fired, and that's why he'll never get a job again. Simple.
Tony, here's why it makes sense for both sides. Masai Ujiri, the owner wants to bring in a new president of ops, of course, yes, to replace Nico Harrison. Masai Ujiri built a championship roster in Canada, in Toronto, 2019.
Yep.
And on the way out,
right.
when he left Toronto last year, he didn't leave the cupboard bare. Toronto, without tanking, is already back in the playoffs, all right? Went to a Game 7, right? And they got good young players led by Scotty Barnes, and they're going to contend, and Masai Ujiri will have been responsible for that signature too. So you bring Masai in to do that in Dallas, right? Jason Kidd doesn't want to wait 3 or 4 years to be in contention again. You just outlined it. He just did that. He can go somewhere else, maybe Orlando, where they can contend. And so Jason Kidd can take his $40 million and go contend somewhere while Masai builds a new roster in Dallas. So that part does make sense. Now, your point is right. Fine. How's it going to turn out? We don't know. It's going to take a while.
We don't know.
It ain't tomorrow.
Jason Kidd had no chance there when Ujiri came in because Jason Kidd wanted to be part of management. He had no chance. That's had to happen. Let's move to the college football playoffs. The commissioner of the Big Ten, Tony Petitti, has made it clear that his conference has no interest in pursuing a 16-team playoff. Petitti says the SEC wants 16 and the Big Ten wants, wait for it, 24. Petitti thinks 16 teams is not sufficient to grant access to the playoffs for enough of his 18 Big Ten teams, and he says it doesn't create enough money to offset the loss of conference championship games. Wilbon, he's your Big Ten boy. Does his logic persuade you?
No. And I am in major conflict here. Let me just explain it quickly. This measure that the Big Ten is strongly in favor for and pushing would basically allow almost all the Big Ten teams over some point for the last few years to have been in the playoffs, including my Northwestern Wildcats twice, 2018 and 24, I believe. We would have been in the playoff. How can I be against that as a trustee of that university, who's a group charged with the overseeing of the university and its health, including financial health? All right. Now, there's that. But I hate this. I don't want to see anything with 24 teams. And I was a guy pressing for a football playoff 20 years ago. 8 is enough. 12 is too many. 16 is way too many. 24 is otherworldly, and I hate it. And nothing will persuade me. Maybe I'll get fired. Maybe I'll be banned from campus. Nothing will persuade me to want to have that.
24 is completely insane. Does the Big Ten understand that this is not basketball, this is football? You cannot complete 2 rounds of a football tournament in the same weekend like you can in basketball. I mean, you just can't. What are they going to do with 24? Are they going to have play-in games in Dayton? It's the winner, if my math is correct, would have to win 5 games. It'll take a month and a half, 2 months. We won't have a college champion till like the night before the Super Bowl. So it's completely crazy. I agree with you about 8, and I'm wondering how they're going to sell it. You try to sell it by saying, okay, we're going to include a lot of small teams. James Madison will get into the playoffs, but that's not what they're not. No, the Big Ten doesn't want James Madison. They want Minnesota and Iowa, and God help us, Maryland. So, like, we're going to stop now because the bell rang, and it's too insane to go further. Let's take a break.
It is, but it's going to happen. It may happen.
Yes. Oh, I don't know. What's the Thunder's best defense? Kendrick Perkins, let's start with this. You played center in the NBA. This is a simple one. What are you seeing when you watch Victor Wembanyama?
I'm saying dominance. I'm saying greatness. And guess what, Tony? In the next 30 years from now, we're going to be sitting up here having a GOAT debate, and it's going to be Wemby, Jordan, and LeBron in no particular order. That's how great he is already. And guess what? He's just getting started. This league belongs to Victor Wembanyama. For the first time since I've been watching SGA play the game of basketball, the first time I looked at him after the game in his post-game interview, and I saw concern all over his face. And that's because Wemby went into the arena and snatched the souls out of the NBA champions, and he let them know about it. He's going to continue to let them know about it. The hatred that he has for them and others that doesn't have on the San Antonio Spurs jersey makes it everything and more.
Perk, we're going to continue on Wemby for a second because I want to ask you specifically about trying to defend him. You played a lot of great defense in this league. You had to guard a lot of great big men. The Thunder tried everything. What the hell do you try next? What do you think might slow him down enough to win a game?
Are we sure they tried everything? I saw Alex Caruso guarding Wemby. I saw J-Dub guarding Wemby. I saw Luke Dort at time guarding Wemby. I didn't see Chet Holmgren guarding Wemby. And I thought it was beef there. I thought they both wanted to make hamburgers. But to me, it seemed like that Chet Holmgren was ducking smoke. And you cannot allow Wemby to come into your home and do what he did in game one and not respond in game two. And I don't want to hear about the game plan is for Chet to be a help side defender. No, I don't want to hear that. Because when I played with the Celtics, it was times where Paul Pierce came in the timeout in the huddle and said, Tony Allen, sit back. I got Braun. I got Kobe Bryant. It was times where I was playing with Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant told Thabo Sefolosha, no, I got Braun. This is the moment for Chet to take that rise and say, I'm taking it personal. Because newsflash, Chet, if he's saying this, the man don't like you. Matter of fact, he hates you. And you need to understand and have that same hatred towards him and protect your damn house. I need to see Chet Holmgren at 7-1 defend Victor Wembanyama. I'm not saying he's going to stop him, but damn it, at least try and match up with him.
I love this. All right, let's go back to SGA, who you mentioned already. He had a terrible shooting night, 7 for 23. Was he just off, Perk, or is San Antonio's defense, and I know they got a great guard rotation defensively, did that defense throw the two-time MVP off his game?
It is. It's the defense of the San Antonio Spurs. And guess what? Because of the dominance and how great Wemby is defensively, their perimeter defenders get overlooked. When you look at their size and athleticism, right? We're talking about Dylan Harper, 6'5", right? Champagne, he's 6'6", 6'7". Keldon Johnson, big wing. All of those guys can slide their puppies and move their feet, and all of them have that dog in them. And let me not forget Stephon Castle. So when you have guys that are willing to take on the challenge, and you have a defensive anchor like Victor Wembanyama, it allows those guys to put so much pressure on a guy like SGA. And it's hard because they could take his physical push off, his little nudge for him to get separation, and now those shots are a lot harder. In order to get SGA going, the Thunder are going to have to get out in transition, force turnovers, and get SGA out in transition so he could get easier looks.
Let's shift to last night for a second. The Knicks came way back, from way back to beat Cleveland. Like, this is an amazing situation. Let me phrase this question as best I can. What the heck happened?
What you mean what happened, Tony? They folded like clean sheets. Same series, different series, same story. When you're talking about, and I'm speaking about James Harden, more turnovers than more made field goals. Defensive liability. But yet Kenny Atkinson sits over there and takes all his timeouts home and doesn't make a decision that's best for the team. I would have set James Harden down last night. The way that Jalen Brunson was picking on him in the fourth quarter and in overtime, 7 for 8, Jalen Brunson went when James Harden was guarding him. At some point, Kenny, you got to do what's best for the team. You have Dennis Schroeder over there. You have D. Wade over there. You have all of these guys and options that you could have put on the floor. And also, having James Harden on the floor, guess who it took away from Donovan Mitchell? How many times last night did we see Donovan Mitchell standing in the corner offensively? Kenny Atkinson has to get out of this love fest that he has with James Harden. I don't know if it's because they verbally agreed to give him a contract extension after this season and it's coming from the top that he has to be on the floor, but his last 3 games has been horrible to the point that you're keeping him on the floor and it's hurting the team.
This is
Coach
why you're
Perk.
on this show.
Coach Perk.
This is why we love you.
Coach Perk.
Thank you,
I
Perk.
love y'all too.
Thank you.
See you soon, my brother.
Let's take one last break. Still to come, James Wood accomplished